So, welcome back to the Business Exchange, the show where we dive into ideas, people, and innovations shaping industries and redefining the future. I'm your host, Joseph, and today we're exploring a topic that affects every single one of us is the future of housing. Our guest is someone pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Joining me is Arthur Zankowicz, CEO of Daylund, a company focused on building the housing of the future. Arthur leads groundbreaking initiatives, including Bimaloon.com, and Daylund's mission is to transform how we build, design, and experience homes. Arthur, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Good. All right. So, for those who may not be familiar, what is Daylund's mission and what inspired you to create of housing of the future?
Well, you know what? I've been involved in a lot of industries, and my I really enjoy architecture. And one of my previous jobs was being an art director in film, where I built a nightclub for Coors Light in 24 hours. I built a bridge. I've blown it up next day, right? So I really got my building chops on there. But I wanted to dive more deeply into building and architecture. And so when I got into construction, I realized how much of a disconnect there was between technology, innovation, new products, sustainability. So I felt there's a real need to change the way we build and the way we do things.
Oh, perfect. Good. Excellent. So, what was there a personal moment where you realized the housing market needed a radical rethink?
Well, you know what? I kind of always saw it because, you know what? I just looked at, I know it sounds crazy, but I was just looking at the way people were building. And I just thought, well, that's crazy, you know, putting up the wood. When I'm overseas, a lot of people laugh the way Canadians build with two by fours and wood frames. Uh, you know, I look at something like drywall and I'm like, that it seems very archaic. It's so dusty, it's heavy. You know, a lot of things in the business didn't make sense. And then when we started a pilot project um, here in Toronto, I couldn't believe the amount of pushback I got on simple things, things
Hmm.
that were just a lot easier, made sense to me, but in the construction industry, it just wasn't the way they did it. So I think the aha moment was when, like day one, when I just started the pilot project and talking to engineers, architects, carpenters, guys that make the foundation and forms. I just realized, like, wow, like nobody's aligned, nobody's on the same page, and this is going to be a struggle.
Right, right. Yeah, it seems like that. I've always come across it in my sales positions. People are sometimes very resistant to change and doing. They always want to do the same old. When even when there's better ways to do it. So,
Yes.
what is Bimaloon.com and how does it fit into Daylund's bigger picture?
Well, Beamalone is kind of a Balin is the main company, and Beamalone's our factory. So we received a grant recently, and the grant is to build. It was a challenge from Engine, which is next generation manufacturing, to make housing 40% cheaper. And so I kind of took it as a challenge, and I said, well, how can we do that? And the one I can't change real estate prices, but and material costs are way up. So it was the way we constructed, uh, maybe some of the materials we used, and building off site. And when I looked into building off site, a lot of companies went out of business, and I researched why, and it's the way they build. So we did a simpler idea where we only have two sizes of panels, 8 feet by 8 feet and 4 feet by 8 feet. Doesn't matter the size of the house you're building, we're just using those two sizes. But just having those two sizes, we can constantly be outputting uh, walls and panels and knowing that nothing's going to be overstocked because no matter the house you're building, that's what you're going to need in our design. Also, with robotics, there's so many advances in robotics that we essentially came up with a software and program that we can tell, we can design it on our website and it can output a rivet model which has everything that you need with architectural drawings, engineering drawings, 3D models that the interior designer can use, which is exact. It's to the millimeter. A lot of times I hear, oh, construction's a matter of inches or feet. No, no. We're You get exactly what you design, and it's manufactured by
Yeah.
robotics, completely autonomous, and it's perfect. So it's just kind of a uh, and with the robots we're using cobot robots, which is different than you see in a Toyota plant where it's big
Hmm.
PLCs. Usually robots replace human strength or add strength. Ours is, adds smartness. So if there's an outlet in panel number 23, our AMR robot drives to that station and adds an outlet, right? So it's already predetermined, everything's there. So, and we provide roughed in. We don't finish the product, we provide what's roughed in. So you get your insulation, you get your windows, you get your doors, you get your subfloor, you get your trusses, and it's basically a closed in. As far as the exterior is waterproof, but if you want to sit there and talk to your client regarding tiles or flooring or anything kind of customization, you can do that with your client. But we provide this solution that can be put up in 24 hours.
Oh, excellent. Oh, that's amazing. Wow. So, excuse me. Let's go over the housing landscape. So, we're living in a time where housing costs, availability, and quality are challenging people worldwide. From your perspective, what are the biggest problems with how we build homes today?
Well, I think the biggest problem is yes, costs, and the builders aren't making money. Like I'm talking medium to small builders, they're struggling, right? And a lot of people goes, oh yeah, the builders are making so much money, and that's why it costs. No, material costs have gone up. Uh, if you look at, we did a study in 1950s. You know, a smaller percentage of your income, you could buy a home no problem. Now, it's unaffordable, right? Our incomes have not increased to the price of uh, increase in the inflationary rate of materials. So, yeah, you get a lot of builders who cut costs or don't offer you the best product. It's under the building code, but because they're trying to make money, and if builders aren't making money, then nobody's gonna be building homes. So, I think that is a big issue. That is a big problem, and I think the adaptation to technologies, as you said earlier, like no builder wants to change from carpenters to the concrete guys to the guys that make the forms. They don't want to change. Any other business that I've been to, an idea or a new technology is welcome. It's sought after.
Yeah.
In this business, it's not. It's looked down upon, and it's yeah. There's no innovation or reward for innovation. And also with building codes, not only in every province being different, but in every city being different. In
Right.
Toronto, the code in North York is different than the one in downtown Toronto, which is crazy because it's the same city, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's hard to, like, cars get pumped out because there's a certain code. It's got to reach that, and so you can sit there and mass produce cars, while you can't really mass produce houses, which is also a problem, right? So
Right.
um, there's the regulation has to change. Uh, the builders and the way they think have to change. The way we build homes have to change, and the products we use have to change.
Yes, excellent. Yeah, and I understand with the cost. I know that from different news articles how much, let's say, the city of Toronto, I heard it's 30-40% of the home is in taxes, the cost.
Well, they double the development fee, right? But the taxes are, you know, I wouldn't say it's that high. I'd say the development fee is doubled anywhere else, right? But it's the red tape. Like when I did my pilot project, and the reason I did my pilot project is I wanted to know from digging a hole to getting the permits. Well, I went and got all my permits, received everything I needed, and then all of a sudden, somebody pulled me over and said, "You need a permit, have your fence on the sidewalk, or you want to park something thing." And I said, this has to be informed ahead of time. It
Yeah.
has to be one permit one time, you can
Yeah.
move ahead. So I think it's the bureaucracy and the red tape and the slowness of getting things done and the paranoia of like you're doing something wrong or somebody else is going to hit you up for a permit that you're not aware of, right? So
Right.
that really slows things down and it makes it uncomfortable, like trying to move forward that there might be something out there, another permit that you need, and another cost you might incur when you're trying to budget and move forward on a very difficult project to do.
Right. Right. So, what makes you think the industry is so slow to adopt innovation?
Uh, it's various things. Uh, it's the infrastructure. Like the infrastructure's not there. It's very disconnected. To give you an example, when I worked in the film business, we had 2 days to pull off whatever we were shooting.
Hmm.
So you get the director, you get the producer, you get the cameraman, you get the art department, you get the grips, the gaffers, the electrics, and we have meetings. We have a tech scout, and then we would have uh, a location scout. Everybody was there. I tried to get the engineer and the architect together to have a meeting. Not happening. I don't know if it's ego. I don't know if it's done, but we're building the most expensive product you're ever going to have in your lifetime. And the fact that people don't get together and say, okay, this is what's happening. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. And everybody should be on board and at a meeting to build a house. The regulation, the different types of codes all across the country. We should have one really strong
Yeah.
code, um, and then everybody follow it. And even if the code's stronger because of something like the roof, there's more snow loads obviously up north. Who
Right.
cares? If we do it and we implement it and we do it over and over, costs will come down. Education. We need to teach apprentices coming through that, whether it be technology, whether it be AI, how to do things, make it quicker, make it faster. So it's just a strange uh, process of building a house. In all the products I've been a part of, this is obviously the most expensive product, and your cell phone has more technology in it than what you're going to spend the most on, which kind of just blows me away. So I think it's got to be an evolution, a revolution of start to finish,
Right.
everywhere.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That a lot of things today need a revolution. That's for sure.
Yeah,
So, where do you see the largest gap between what people need and what the market's providing?
I think. Well, obviously cost is the biggest thing, right? So affordability, right? And so I think I think when you're buying a house, uh, it's such an important process that from the from the financing to the general contractor to the materials, you have to know it all, and it's difficult because uh, you know not everybody's a builder, but you almost have to be a builder, and so there needs to be a process where everything is streamlined and easier to follow, and you know, not so difficult and not so many hurdles and things to jump through and unknowns, right? So,
Hmm.
I compare it to buying a car. Like, I mean, there's certain brands out there, you know what they want, you know what their mileage is, you kind of know what to ask, you know what the leasing rates are, right? So it's very transparent
Hmm.
and you can shop around a price and see what's out there. And that's kind of what housing has to be, right? So,
Right.
uh, you know, I, I didn't know about construction financing, and construction financing is very scary. It's kind of regulated. The prices are high. There's private lenders are. You really don't know what you're getting. Institutions do not lend for construction financing, and that was a big red flag for me. None of the big banks lent money for construction financing. A lot of people don't know that. It's a higher rate. It's crazy. It's scary. Uh, there's been a lot of problems. I've had a lot of problems, and I think that was my biggest issue with building a cloud project, just the construction financing. And one person says this, there's an appraiser, he gives you a certain amount for this. Well, it's different than what the financier is saying, and there's a broker who kind of knows what's going on but doesn't. So it's kind of a hell's bells kind of way to
Yeah.
finance such a big project.
Wow. Well, that's interesting. You would think the big banks would be on board for such a huge industry that impacts the
Too much risk. They
economy
say
so
it's too much
much.
risk, right? So if the
Wow.
banks are saying it's too much risk, then like wow, like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So how do you do it? And like the government has certain things like CMHC offer insurance, but there's got to be some kind of, I'm against regulation, but if there is a regulation, it's kind of keeping financing or construction financing in check or offering a solution there because right now it's yeah I understand why builders aren't making money and why people don't want to build, right? So
Right. Right.
yeah, that's step A.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about innovation and the future of housing. So, what does the future-proof housing actually look like in your mind?
Well, it's got to be done off site for a lot of things because, like I said, building off site, you can control things, you can make things quicker, you can bring the costs down, but fast production equals savings, right? It just hasn't been done properly, so that's an issue, right? And so on site, it should be done quickly. Like building on site is terrible. It's cold. It's
Yeah.
winter. We can't do stuff in the winter. People just want to get through the day. Like you just think of it. Like if you're on site and you're building and it's cold, you want to go home, right? So you're not going to really pay attention. So if everything can be done ahead of time and just put together on site, that's a big difference, right? So I think the way we build, right? You know what I mean? Like we have to have, higher insulation. A lot of builders don't understand net zero. In 2030, you're going to have to build net zero homes. And people don't know that. Like lenders don't know that. Builders don't know that. Brokers don't know that. And so there's no gas going to the house. So you can't have gas going to your house. And your house has to be net zero. What is net zero? It means there has to be your carbon footprint has to be zero. So your house produces carbon and what it saves have to be equal or less. So that's a big deal. And a lot of people don't know about that. And I'm
Yeah.
shocked. And
Yeah.
so even when I went to an insurance company, go, I'm building a net zero house. They went, oh, what's that? I don't know if we can insure it. I don't know what's going on, right? When I
Hmm.
was building the penalized system, law insurance company says, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't know if we can do this. Can you tell us more about it? This is scary. We're going to charge you more. Same with lenders, right? So yeah, there's got to be more education in that. And as far as the innovation part, uh, building off site, and I think 3D printing or some kind of system where you come to site and you print part of the house out, whether it be the foundation, whether it be the walls. With 3D printing, we can now print wood, we can print foams, we can print things, and we have smart computers and robotics that are smarter than we can keep up with that can probably print out a house in the materials you want, uh, and it can be done. It's just once again the adaptation of people changing over to it, people wanting to look at electric cars. Electric cars are a great solution. The problem is there's not enough. I have an electric car. I get scared going on the highway because there's not enough stations, or there's stations that is going to be open, right? So it's gotta, like I said, it's gotta be an evolution. It's gotta come quick. It's gotta come hard, and it's gotta be complete.
Right. Right. That's very interesting about 3D printing. I'll mention something at the end. After the podcast, I interviewed another company that you might be interested in to hear more about. All right. So when introducing new technologies into traditional industries, well, we kind of covered it, but just in case, what resistance is what you often face?
It's 100% resistant. It's 100% resistant. Nobody wants to try anything. Nobody wants it. It's like, and that's the thing. I'm on a panel next week, and all these smart people talking about sustainable materials and some great solutions, some amazing things. But I'm like, guys, it who cares if
Yeah.
nobody's going to use it? We have so much technology and innovation going into the materials and how to build, and zero going into adaptions and people taking it on, right? There's no mandate to do it. There's no knowledge of to do it, and yeah. So it's if I was the CEO, I'd fire everyone and start from scratch. And that's
Yeah.
honestly because Even I had plywood that had waterproofing on it. Something simple and stupid as that. And I handed it to the carpenter. And he's like, what's this? Is it good enough? Well, what do we do with it? You know what I mean? And I use SIPS panels. SIPS panels are two pieces of plywood foam in it. They're the most simplest, easiest thing. Why everybody's not building it this way is incredible. And that just goes to show you it's approved, it's allowed, it's quick,
Yeah.
it's higher insulation, it's easy, anybody can do it, but it's not being adopted.
Yeah.
Nobody's using it. Maybe for somebody's cottage or something like that, but um, it's just a mindset. And what I'm doing is I'm building the factory and I'm supplying, and I'm slowly getting builders, and I'm converting builders to take on the way I'm building, and then they're going to use it, and they're going to see the cost savings, and they're going to change over. Like the biggest thing, if anything, is money, and you can prove that you're 25% cheaper and you're going to save money. That will change people's minds. But until then,
Yeah.
nobody's going to change.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right there. All right, so let's shift gears a little. So running an innovative housing company can't be easy. What's been the biggest challenge for Dayloon over the last 12 months?
Well, I think, I've been trying to grind this out for many years, and I've always been kind of market disruptor, innovator, right? And it's always been, you're always pioneering stuff. You're almost not selling your product, you're selling the idea. So even before you make the sale, you're like, hey, this is why you should switch over to this kind of process because it's better. So it's frustrating because you're not making money, you're selling an idea, right? So, but I think recently, with uh, with innovation, with cost, with gas going up, with solar, people are starting to go, okay, there's an alternative, there's something else. So, you know, uh, that's the biggest hurdle. Like just you know, the adoption and people, coming on board and being hip to what you're doing.
Right, right. Yes. If you could remove one recurring bottleneck in your operation or business model, what would it be?
Well, you know what? Like I said before, I think it's financing. I think when you're building a product, say like a phone or I don't know, a screwdriver, a tool. Like I mean, you build so many, you get an order, the order fulfills it. With construction, there's such a big. If you think about it, like you have to outlay so much money to build this product,
Mm,
right? And any other business I've been in, we could always cover the product, or even the customer's deposit will cover it. But to build this product, it's just such an incredible amount of money, and to get somebody to give you that money is difficult. I think everything else, it's there. You know, there's people looking for work. There's, whether it be an offsite company or you know, general contracts that can build. I think it's kind of and nobody talks about it because everybody's talking about a new tool or a new product or how to build or materials, right? It's the financing, right? It's
yeah,
so important and it's so big uh, that that's what bottlenecks it. And you got to hit milestones to get more money from your builder, right? And so,
right.
um, yeah, and there's a big risk with that for yourself and for the lender, right? So how do we get
Yes.
around that? So that's a huge bottleneck, I think.
Gotcha. So, what part of the business currently keeps you up at night? You know, like staffing, sales cycles, manufacturing, permitting. What is
I
there
think like
anything that?
yeah, I'd say like permitting, insurance, financing, getting it done on time, right? So, because like I said, the product is a house, which is the biggest product that I ever made, and I've made tons of products, right? And so, if it falls apart, it's a big loss. It's a big negative in the books, right? So just just staying on top of it and staying and making sure things are done properly, right? Because it's you're dealing with somebody's livelihood, somebody where somebody's going to live, right? So
Right.
you got to make it right. You can't cut corners, and yeah, it's a big deal.
So when you're scaling Dayloon, where do you feel the most friction right now?
Uh, you know what? The way I set up the factory and to scale, it's really easy. My factory is very simple. The way we build is very simple, so the scalability is easy. I'd say is people coming on board, right? So I think when the price everybody loves is just converting people um, into the way we build and the process, right? So that's kind of like uh, the most friction and the most pushback and the bottleneck, right? All in one, right?
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
once we get past that and once people get on board, I think it'll just uh, it'll scale and we will be able to keep up.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, I hear that. Um, are there any other inefficiencies, manual tasks, or outdated processes you wish you could automate?
So yeah, so we're dealing with the offsite, but now my shift has gone to on-site, right? Because there's not, off-site we can be in a controlled environment, so you can go, we can automate making cars, so we can automate anything, right?
Right.
On-site's more difficult because you're dealing with weather, rough terrain, right? So we're
Right.
coming up with a gantry crane system that is kind of like 3D printing, but um, my biggest bottleneck of that of doing a panelized system and doing big walls or even modular pieces was getting a crane, and the crane guy would come up uh, to reach to the backside. Uh, he could lift 15,000 pounds, but if it was extended, it'd be 5,000 pounds. There's only so many cranes in the city, so it's expensive. They're running a diesel truck, which a lot of people in the residence don't like. Because my gantry crane, which is electric, it's going to be something the size of a boat trailer. It's going to be put up in like 4 hours, and it's going to have a head on it, a crane on it that can go back and forth through the whole house. You have a on one side and put wheels on the other side with an overhang and a crane, and it's smart. So it'll know GPS area. It'll know to pick up the panel, where to put it. It'll know the sections of all the house because of our software from the beginning. We can now put crop marks and detailed areas and kind of scan the area, and it'll know exactly where to put, and that'll speed up even our on-site. So there's the off-site,
Gotcha.
which we've nailed, and now we're doing the on-site.
Gotcha. Oh, that makes sense. Very good. Where do you see the biggest missed revenue opportunities, either with Dayloon or the industry overall?
Um, I think it's just, I think where there's money to be made, I think people are making it. The problem is there's not a lot of money to be made right now,
Mm.
as it is, right? So I think I think scaling, repetition, and being allowed to do something over and over and over is where you can make money, right? So not being smart, how do you how are you doing it, right? Not it's great to do custom, but uh, you have to say, look, customer, this is what you're getting. You can add on later, but to come into this price, you know, have a standard size window, have a standard size door.
Yeah. Yeah.
The way that I'm doing the panelized system, right? It's
Yeah.
repetition and doing that, and by doing that, that's when you can start to see profit. But right now, uh, there's if there's any money on the floor, everybody's picked it up, right? So it's being smarter on how you design, being smarter on how you build. I think that's where you can kind of pick up on profit.
Yes, for sure. I agree with you. What's one problem in your business that you've tried solving multiple times but still haven't been able to crack it yet?
Uh, Probably, you know, kind of like I stated earlier, is just kind of, you know, getting people to change, getting people to understand, whether, why do you have such big walls? Well, because they're energy efficient and therefore it's going to use 80% less energy. Why are you doing this, right? So
Yeah.
getting the people on the front lines to convert, getting the industry, whether it be insurance or financial private lenders, to understand what you're doing, right? And then having everybody buy in, right? And so I think that's probably it right there.
Right, right. So where do you think the housing market is heading in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, I think we proverbially hit a wall, which is to me is good because everybody's trying to figure out how to make houses cheaper. And you know, some people say the city, and the city can improve. Some people say it's the builders. Some people say it's real estate. It's it's a combination of all the above, right? I mean, you know, uh, like I said, I did a study, and the one thing I concluded is people aren't making enough money, right? So that's difficult to change because that's a bigger issue. But I think the way we build and making it making it affordable, right? So I
Right.
think that's kind of uh, what needs to happen. And so because we've hit a wall, people are now listening and people are willing to kind of change and say, okay, we've tried it this way, let's try it that way, right? So hopefully things will revolutionize. Uh, you know, our prime minister has said, they're looking at offsite building. So if the government said, okay, green light, then everybody else should follow. And hopefully things will change.
Yeah, I hope so too. I really do with that. So what role do companies like yours play in shaping the future?
Well, I think we need to lead, right? It can't be up to the government. Like
Yeah.
any kind of panel I've been a part of, the government always steps in and says, you need to do this. No, let us figure it out, right?
Yeah.
We'll make things better and then, make it part of the code, right? But
Yes.
we have the R&D, we have the research, we know the costs, we know what we need to do. So let
Yeah.
us do it. And um, we can come up with great solutions that are both cost effective and better product, right? So
Yeah.
let the market change, let the market direct where we're going, right? So
Yes.
and that's kind of what we're doing. And I think once we do it, and people are going to replicate it. People are going to say that works. They're making money. Hey, I'm going to do that, right? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I've lived in China for 10 years, and one thing people complain is that Chinese always copy, but they're smart. They see something that works. They see a lot of orders coming up. They go, okay, replicate it, and they usually replicate it cheaper, not
Yeah.
necessarily better, but they've mastered replicating it. Their battery market now is through the roof because they just replicated an existing idea, made it better, and they're spending a lot of money. So I think replication through innovation is what is the future for the housing market.
Yes. Amazing. So as CEO leading a future forward initiative, what's been your biggest leadership lesson so far?
Uh, just keep plugging, just keep going. Like I kind of sometimes when you're an entrepreneur, you're kind of questioning, you're kind of thinking, maybe it's not a great idea, maybe should I change, pivot. But I just think there's so much room for innovation. There's so much
Yeah.
wrongness that if I get it 75% right, it'll be a major change, right? So I think just and having everybody tell me not to do it, everybody telling me, it's not the way we do things, and just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, going,
Yeah.
and to the point now where if somebody says it can't be done, then I go, good, that means it can be done. I'm
Yeah.
moving forward, right? And so just,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no failure, right? Like I have some students working for me and they're scared to make a decision. I go, no, if we do something wrong, we're never going to do that again. So let's do something wrong so we know
Yeah.
we did it wrong, and that way we'll do something right. So uh, yeah, just as head of this company, I'm just kind of just pushing and pushing and pushing, and then just what I mean, and you have to be stubborn, right? And
Yeah.
and I think in this industry, there's a lot of room to just you know shut your ears off and shut off the noise and just move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I agree with you there. As a fellow entrepreneur, you can't listen to the naysayers because they're just there to bring you down anyway.
Right.
What advice would you give to founders or innovators trying to transform a traditional industry?
Well, you gotta look at you know is your idea, you know does it work? Does it coming up with a new mousetrap is not necessarily a good thing, right? Like a lot of people, used to come up to me and say, "Hey, Arthur, I have a great idea," right? And I used to say, "Okay, put the idea aside. Do you have a buyer?" Right? Never mind. I think in my career and living overseas too, I've had so many people come up with ideas. I've had one person that came up to me saying, "Hey, I got a purchase order for $1 million. How do we make the product?" Right? So make sure there's a buyer, right? And make sure
Yeah.
make sure you can get traction and say, you know, put it out there. Come up with a website and say, "I have this product," and then see if there's any bites at it. Go, "Yeah, if you come up with that product, I'll buy into it," right? Or "I want it," or "There's a need for it." But just come up with an idea um, without any traction or any kind of foresight, could be problematic.
Sure is. Beautiful. So, Arthur, this has been an incredible conversation. The work Daylune is doing, redefining housing, is not only innovative but absolutely necessary as we look to the future. So, for everyone listening, you can check out daylune.ca, beamaluna.com to learn more, and of course, you can find Arthur on LinkedIn. And Arthur, thanks again, and it was a pleasure to have you on the Business Exchange.
Thanks for having me, Joseph. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're quite welcome.